Yes, there is a cheap trick. It costs about $10, it comes in a bag from any garden center, and it genuinely works. I am going to give you the exact amounts, the exact timing, and the one mistake that makes people do everything right and still get the wrong color. But first, I have to take one word out of that title, because it is not true, and you deserve to know that before you spend anything. Permanently. There is no permanent color change in garden soil. There never has been. Because the moment you finish amending that ground, it begins drifting back toward whatever it naturally was, and it will keep drifting for as long as you own the house. So anybody promising you a one-time permanent flip is either mistaken or selling you something, and in a minute I will show you the 3 specific ways that promise falls apart. And there is something even more basic that almost nobody checks first. Most hydrangeas cannot change color at all. Not slowly, not partially, not with the right product. At all. So a very large number of people watching this are about to buy a bag of something and pour it on a plant that was never going to respond, and then conclude they did it wrong. So here is the honest deal, and I think it is a better one. I am going to tell you how to check whether your plant can even do this in about 10 seconds. Then I am going to give you the cheap trick properly, with the real numbers. Then, I am going to tell you exactly what maintaining that color actually costs you, every year, forever. And then, I am going to give you the 2 ways to make it genuinely permanent. Because permanent is possible. It is just not something you buy in a bag, and it is not what anybody expects. But start here, because it decides everything. You are not dyeing a flower. You are not dyeing a flower. You are feeding a plant a metal. That is the whole mechanism, and once you have it, every instruction in this video explains itself. Inside those sepals is a pigment called delphinidin. On its own, it is pink. But when the plant takes up aluminum from the soil and moves it into the flower, that aluminum binds with the pigment and the whole structure shifts. Pink becomes blue. Same plant, same pigment, one metal added. So blue is not a color the plant makes. Blue is a chemical reaction, and aluminum is the reagent. Now, where does pH come into it, since that is all anybody ever talks about? Here is the honest version, and Michael Durr, who wrote the book on hydrangeas, says it plainly. The color is not determined by pH as such. It is determined by how much aluminum the plant can actually access, and pH is what controls that. Aluminum is already sitting in most soils. But in alkaline ground, it is locked up as insoluble compounds the roots cannot touch. Drop the pH, and it dissolves into a form the plant can absorb. So pH is not the paint. pH is the gate. And that single distinction explains why so many people fail at this. They chase a pH number, hit it, and still get pink, because there was never enough aluminum in that soil to matter. Or they add aluminum to ground so alkaline it stays locked. You need both, the metal and the open gate. Everybody is arguing about pH. The flower is arguing about aluminum. Now, the 10-second check that decides whether any of this applies to your plant at all. Check what you own before you spend a penny. This takes 10 seconds, and it saves half of you the whole exercise. Only 2 hydrangeas on Earth change color. Big leaf, which is Hydrangea macrophylla, the mopheads and the lace caps, and mountain hydrangea, Hydrangea serrata, which is its smaller, more delicate cousin. That is the list. That is all of them. So if you have a panicle hydrangea, the ones with the cone-shaped flower heads that open white and age to pink, nothing you pour on that soil will change it. Same for smooth hydrangea, which is the Annabelle type, the big white ball on a floppy stem. Same for oak leaf, which you can identify instantly by its leaves, shaped exactly like an oak's. Same for climbing hydrangea. 4 of the 6, and no amount of aluminum sulfate touches any of them. And now the one that catches more people than all the rest combined. White hydrangeas do not change color. Ever. Not on any type. Not with any product. A white big-leaf hydrangea has no delphinidin in it to react with, so there is no pigment for the aluminum to bind to and nothing to shift. You can hit that plant with every amendment on the shelf, and you will get white flowers in beautifully acidified soil. 2 smaller cautions while you are checking. Some modern cultivars are bred to hold a fixed color or a mix, and they simply will not respond, no matter what your soil does. And if you are chasing true red in a hot climate, you are not going to get there. You can achieve a very deep, dark pink. Red is a catalog photograph, so go and look at your plant now. Big rounded ball or a flat lacy plate on a shrub with broad glossy leaves and in pink, blue, or purple. You are in business. Anything else, and I have just saved you $10 and a season of disappointment. The cheapest step in this whole video is the one where you find out you can skip it. Buy the $10 bag. Here is exactly what to do with it. The product is aluminum sulfate, and it is doing both jobs at once, which is why it is the standard. It lowers the pH, opening the gate, and it supplies aluminum directly, so you are not relying on your soil to already contain enough. Test first. A basic soil test kit is a few dollars, and it tells you where you are starting from, which decides how far you have to travel. Skip this, and you are dosing blind. Know your target. For blue, you want the soil sitting somewhere around 5.2 to 5.5, and within that range, you have a dial. Around 5.5 gives you a violet blue. Down at 5.0, you get a softer, more muted blue. Push to 4.5, and you are into deep blue territory. So decide which blue you actually want before you start. Now the mix, and it is the same everywhere. 1 tablespoon of aluminum sulfate dissolved in 1 gallon of water. Agitate it properly, because it does not dissolve instantly, and you do not want it settling at the bottom of the can. Water the plant. First, this matters more than it sounds. Never put this solution onto dry soil, because concentrated salts against dry roots is how you burn them. Moist ground first, then the drench. Pour it slowly around the drip line, which is the ring on the soil directly beneath the outermost branch tips. That is where the fine feeding roots are. Slowly, so it soaks in rather than running off across the surface. And keep it off the plant. Those salts scorch foliage on contact. If you splash the leaves or stems, hose it off straight away. Wear gloves and eye protection while you are mixing, because this stuff is an irritant. Timing and frequency. Start in early spring as the buds are swelling, and apply once a month for 3 months through spring and early summer. That is Mississippi State Extension's recommendation, and it is a sensible baseline. Then stop by July. Do not keep going into late summer. Late applications stress the plant and reduce its cold hardiness going into winter, and by then the flowers are already set anyway. Now the trap that ruins this for people who are otherwise doing everything right. Phosphorus. Phosphorus locks aluminum up. It binds it into forms the plant cannot take, which means a high phosphorus fertilizer will quietly cancel out everything you just did. And here is why it catches people. High phosphorus feeds are sold as bloom boosters, so somebody chasing blue flowers reaches for the bloom fertilizer and sabotages the aluminum with the other hand. So while you are working on blue, keep phosphorus low, nitrogen moderate, potassium high. That is the fertilizer profile that supports what you are trying to do. The cheaper, slower alternative is elemental sulfur. It only acidifies. It does not supply aluminum, so it works best where your soil already contains aluminum and simply has the gate shut. Mississippi State suggests about half a cup per 10 square feet applied in fall to change color by the following spring. In pots, roughly 1 tablespoon per 4 inches of container diameter. Repeat at 60-day intervals until you get there. It acts slowly, which is genuinely an advantage because it gives you a more stable pH rather than a sudden swing. And be patient. A large established shrub can take months to shift, and quite often you will not see the real result until the following season's blooms. The trick is cheap. The patience is the expensive part. Quick one, because look at what has actually happened in this video so far. Before I could give you a single instruction, I had to spend a whole section on which hydrangea you own. Because 4 of the 6 types cannot do this at all, and white ones cannot do it on any type. And if you had bought that bag without checking, you would have poured it on the ground and blamed yourself. And that is not unique to color. That is every hydrangea question there is. When to cut it, why it will not bloom, what to do with it in August. Every one of those has a different correct answer depending on which of the 6 you have, which is exactly why generic hydrangea advice fails so reliably, and why so many people end up convinced they own a difficult plant. So I wrote the honest version down. It is called the Hydrangea Mastery Guide. All 6 types, told apart in 90 seconds, because every hydrangea mistake there is, starts right there. The prune by type calendar, so you stop cutting off your own flowers. The real reason the color changes, which is not the pH, whatever you were told. And the 5 myths that waste an entire season. 29 pages, $27, instant PDF, 7-day money-back guarantee, and the link is in the description at waltgreer.com. And it ends the way this channel always ends. With the part nobody selling you something will print. 4 of the 6 types cannot change color at all, no matter what you pour on them. Fertilizer will never fix a hydrangea that will not bloom, because a guide that only tells you what to do is only half a guide. Now, some of you want to go the other way entirely, and that direction is easier. If you want pink, you are in luck, because this direction is easier, and the reason follows directly from the mechanism. To get blue, you have to actively supply aluminum and force the gate open and keep it open. To get pink, you only have to shut the gate. You are not adding an ingredient, you are blocking one, and blocking is simpler than supplying. The product is garden lime, also sold as dolomitic lime. Same shelf, similar price. Your target is a pH of about 6.0 to 6.2, and there is a ceiling on that you need to respect. Do not push past about 6.4, because above that, the plant starts struggling to take up iron, and you trade a color problem for a nutrient problem. 2 ways to apply it. As a granular, roughly 1 cup of lime per plant, sprinkled around the soil out as far as the drip line, and lightly worked into the top layer with a rake or trowel. Turn only that top layer, so you are not tearing into roots. Sandy soils need less than clay soils. Once a year is generally safe. Or, as a drench, 1 tablespoon of lime per gallon of water, applied at the base once a month for 3 months in spring or early summer. Same rhythm as the blue routine, opposite chemistry. Timing is the same as everything else here. Late fall or very early spring, before the plant sets its buds, so the material has time to dissolve and work into the root zone before blooming. And use the fertilizer to help you this time. Since phosphorus locks aluminum up, and locking aluminum up is precisely what you want for pink, a higher phosphorus feed is now working in your favor. Something around a 25-10-10 profile, with the phosphorus doing the blocking for you. The exact reverse of the blue instructions. One last thing that will save somebody a lot of frustration. If you live somewhere with naturally acidic, aluminum-rich soil, and you are trying to force pink, understand that you are pushing uphill against your own ground every single season. Which brings us to the reason none of this is permanent. Blue is something you build. Pink is something you block. Now the word I took out of the title, and the 3 specific reasons it does not survive contact with a garden. 1. Your soil is always drifting home. Whatever you pour on that ground, the ground has a baseline it wants to return to, set by your local geology, your rainfall, and what is leaching in from around it. So every application you make starts eroding the moment you finish it. Blue flowers going pink again is not a failure. It is your soil doing exactly what soil does, which means this is not a project with an end. It is a standing annual routine, and the honest way to think about that $10 bag is as a subscription rather than a purchase. Every spring, 3 applications, forever, for as long as you want that color. 2. Sometimes the ground simply beats you. If your soil tests above about 7.5, you may be in a fight you cannot win. Soil that alkaline usually contains free calcium carbonate or marl, and that acts as a buffer, neutralizing acidifiers about as fast as you can add them. You can pour money into that ground for years and move the needle almost not at all. And here is a specific one worth checking before you start, because it catches a lot of people. If your hydrangea is planted against a house foundation, a concrete path, or a driveway, lime is leaching out of that concrete into your soil continuously, raising the pH around exactly the plant you are trying to acidify. You are not just fighting the soil there, you are fighting a structure, and the structure does not get tired. 3. The failure mode is enthusiasm. Because progress is slow, the temptation is to add more, and this is where real damage happens. Over-liming or over-acidifying does not just overshoot your color. It interferes with the plant's uptake of other nutrients it needs, and that kind of imbalance can take years to undo. Too much aluminum is outright toxic. So follow your soil test, follow the label, and let it be slow. Retest rather than guessing. In the ground, color is not something you achieve. It is something you maintain. But there are 2 ways to make this genuinely permanent, and both of them work by refusing the fight rather than winning it. So here is permanent. 2 of them, and neither one comes in a bag. The first is a pot, because every problem in the last section came from the same source: your native soil. It drifts, it buffers, it leaches lime out of the concrete beside it. So take it out of the equation entirely, and all of that stops. In a container, you are building the growing medium yourself, from scratch, and nothing is pulling it back anywhere. This is genuinely the most reliable way to get a predictable color, and it is the standard answer for anybody gardening on strongly alkaline ground. Start with a good potting mix, somewhere around pH 6.0 to 6.5, then set it where you want it. For blue, blend in about a tablespoon each of elemental sulfur and aluminum sulfate per gallon of mix. For pink, a teaspoon of dolomitic lime per gallon. And then, the detail nobody warns you about: your tap water will undo it. In hard water areas, the carbonates in tap water creep the pH upward every time you water, until months later the color has drifted and you have no idea why. So use collected rainwater where you can, and refresh about 1/3 of the mix each spring, and that pot holds its color indefinitely. The second permanent answer is simply to buy the color you want. If you want reliable white, buy a panicle or a smooth hydrangea, because those are white regardless of anything you do. If you want a hydrangea that stays blue in your particular soil, buy a cultivar bred for it, planted by somebody who tested first. That is not giving up. That is the only version of this that requires nothing of you every spring for the rest of your life. Permanent is not a stronger chemical. Permanent is refusing the fight. Before we finish, send this to one person you know who is about to buy something to turn their hydrangea blue. Just the link. There is a real chance they own a panicle or a white one, and that 10 seconds of checking saves them a season. Now here is the whole thing, honestly. The cheap trick is real. Aluminum sulfate, $10, 1 tablespoon per gallon of water, poured slowly around the drip line onto soil you have already watered, once a month for 3 months in spring, and then stop by July. Target a pH around 5.2 to 5.5. Keep the phosphorus low while you do it, or you will lock up the aluminum with one hand while adding it with the other. Going the other way is easier. Lime, about a cup per plant per year, aiming for 6.0 to 6.2 and no higher, with a high phosphorus feed now working for you instead of against you. But check the plant first, because 4 of the 6 hydrangea types cannot do this at all, and a white hydrangea cannot do it on any type, ever. And permanently is not a thing. Your soil drifts back every year, so that bag is a subscription, not a purchase. If your ground tests above 7.5, or your plant is sitting against a concrete foundation leaching lime into it, you may simply lose, and there is no shame in that. Permanent exists. It is a pot where nothing can drift back because you removed the soil that was fighting you. Or it is a plant tag, where you buy the color you wanted in the first place. The color is not something you win once. In the ground, it is a standing order. In a pot, it is a decision. So subscribe and hit the bell, and stick around. We do this the honest way here in the Forgotten Knowledge Library. Real horticulture, exact amounts, and we tell you straight, including when the popular promise is not true. It is free, and it always will be. And drop a comment telling me which type you actually have and what color it is doing right now, because I would like to see how many of you have been trying to change a plant that was never going to move. Next time, another garden promise that works, right up until you read the small print. I will see you in the next one.